Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for March 11, 2023, the Settlement Ditched edition. And we begin with that story from the Houston Chronicle as the $3.3 million settlement by whistleblowers against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has been ditched by the whistleblowers because the May deadline for payment by Paxton has not been met, and the deal is now off. Paxton seems to think the state of Texas should pay for his illegal and unethical conduct, and the state of Texas, at least the legislature, has balked at this. The result being that the settlement hasn't been funded, so the plaintiffs has pulled out. So Ken Paxton takes 2 steps backwards. Next up, from the ICIJ, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, reports that Swiss prosecutors have charged 4 banking executives for allegedly overseeing accounts that helped move millions of dollars from what is believed to be President Vladimir Putin's secret wealth fund. The Swiss indictment includes the CEO of the Swiss arm of a Russian bank and 3 other employees at the bank. They allegedly ignored clear red flags. The money was being transferred via accounts of a straw man for the Russian president. So money laundering in Swiss banks. I am shocked, just shocked. In a very interesting case from the Wall Street Journal, Morgan Stanley has sued former executive Jes Staley over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'm sure you remember Jes Staley for his unethical conduct while he was president of Barclays Bank in England, that this conduct goes back further when Mr. Staley worked at Morgan Stanley. They sued over ties, accusing, an unnamed woman alleged that JPMorgan aided Epstein's sex trafficking by allowing him to remain as a client and helping to send money around the world. And JPMorgan said that Jes Staley knew about all of this and that he was friendly with Epstein but never said anything about the alleged illegal activity. So, interesting suit by Morgan Stanley. Our final story today comes to us from Reuters, which says that the U.S. Justice Department has come out against the U.S. sentencing guidelines bipartisan proposal to restrict judges' abilities to impose longer sentences based on alleged crimes, even if a unanimous jury has acquitted the defendant of those very same allegations. So this is very unusual for the Department of Justice to come out against recommendations from the bipartisan U.S. sentencing guidelines. Have a great weekend. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.